Today we're on Route 66 in San Bernardino, California to explore the site of the first McDonald's and the McDonald's Museum. So let's take a look. The site where the McDonald's brothers opened their first McDonald's restaurant is located at 1398 Northeast Street in San Bernardino, California, which just so happens to be on what was once Route 66. The McDonald brothers moved their barbecue restaurant from Monrovia to this site in 1940. Eventually, the McDonald's brothers came to realize that most of their profits came from hamburgers. So in 1948, they closed down their restaurant for 3 months and reopened it as a hamburger stand. And thus, McDonald's was born. And I should point out that while this is the site of the original McDonald's, this is not the original building. The original building was torn down in 1972. On the outside of the current building, which holds the unofficial original McDonald's Museum, you'll find a number of McDonaldland characters, along with what is billed as the world's most detailed mural. And not only is the mural detailed, but it's huge too, going around the entire building. Another cool thing on the outside of the building, there is a piece of the original McDonald's flooring designed by Dick McDonald that you can actually step foot on. But like most museums, to see the really cool stuff, we have to go inside. Now I know people will have a lot of different opinions on McDonald's, but there's no denying what a huge part of American culture they are, and what a huge part of a lot of people's childhoods they were, mine included. For me, walking through the museum brought back a ton of memories. The museum's collection, especially in terms of Happy Meal toys, is pretty extensive. The museum does have a lot of information on the history of the site, such as these old photographs. They also have some old menus on display, including a 1940s McDonald's barbecue restaurant menu. It's pretty interesting to see what was on the menu back then and what the prices were. Apparently you could have gotten a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with french fries for only 20 cents. The 15-cent hamburger later on seems like a pretty good deal too. The museum also has a few pieces of early McDonald's equipment. There's also a large collection of props from the Michael Keaton movie The Founder, which is about Ray Kroc, who bought McDonald's from the McDonald brothers for $2.7 million in 1961. I think for me though, the real highlight of the museum was seeing the stuff that I remember as a kid, such as the old food packaging, the McDonaldland characters, which surprisingly enough haven't really been in use since about 2003, and of course, the Happy Meal toys. The museum has a really extensive Happy Meal collection, starting from the 1970s all the way to the present. It was really cool to see a lot of those 1980s Happy Meal toys that I remember getting as a kid again. I mean, it really takes me back to just sitting in the back of my dad's truck, getting that Happy Meal, opening it up, going straight for the toy, forget about the food. What a trip down memory lane it is walking through there. I think the two Happy Meal toy sets I remember the most from when I was a kid is when they had the McDonald's foods as Transformers, and when Super Mario Bros. 3 came out, I remember they had a Super Mario Bros. 3 Happy Meal, and I was so excited about the game, and of course I wanted to get the Happy Meal figures as well. The museum also had information on Happy Meals from around the world, so you could see what other parts of the world were getting in their Happy Meals, and what type of toys the other fast food chains were giving out. Of course, there was an exhibit on Monopoly at McDonald's, and the McPizza, which apparently you could still get at one McDonald's in Orlando, Florida. Now, oddly enough, the McDonald's Corporation has nothing to do with the original McDonald's site museum. It's actually owned by Albert Okura, who owns the Juan Pollo chicken restaurant chain. So the site also houses a small Juan Pollo museum, and Mr. Okura also owns the town of Amboy, California, so there is an Amboy exhibit there as well. The Inland Empire Military Museum is also on the grounds, though it is only open on the weekends, so we weren't able to visit on this trip, unfortunately. If you find yourself on Route 66 in San Bernardino, or anywhere in the area really, the original McDonald's Museum is definitely worth a stop. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but it's actually absolutely free to visit. There is no admission to get in. This is a really cool place, and it's worth spending an hour or two looking around. We highly recommend it. If you had a favorite Happy Meal toy, please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.